Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
It's about the
good
money.
evening,
Money.
everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Ricky Hampton with the big fella Paul Mokeski, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody had a big weekend. Mo's representing the number one seed Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sitting here representing the number one seed Detroit Lions. How about that, big fella?
They killed Minnesota. They just killed them.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get to some NFL later in the show if we have time. But first and foremost, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Just hanging out in Vegas. My wonderful wife Linda and our oldest son Michael went to go pick up Linda's mom in Kansas City because she broke her ankle and she can't get around. And they got snowed in a blizzard and had to stay in a hotel overnight. So hopefully they will be back here in Vegas this evening. That's what we're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed.
Okay. Hey, well, safe travels to them for sure. And I know you can't wait for them to get back. Mo, we got a lot to discuss tonight. And let's start. I mean, you, as everybody who knows, and people are already checking in, welcome everybody to the show. Please send us your questions and comments. And please check out all our shows and subscribe to the show on Sports Fluent on YouTube. Go to Sports Fluent on YouTube to subscribe to this and all the other shows here on the Sports Fluent Network. But Mo, all your experiences in professional sports over the years, it's really nothing you haven't seen. But nonetheless, it's some of the stuff we see today that even makes you shake your head. Let's start down in Miami.
Well, I would say there's probably stuff I haven't seen, but nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Jimmy Butler asking for a trade certainly does not surprise you.
No, I mean, it's not brain surgery, man. It's not brain surgery. Look what he did in Chicago. Demanded a trade. Look what he did in Philly. Demanded a trade. It's like people are surprised. Why are you surprised? Well, you shouldn't be surprised, but it's kind of frustrating and kind of shocking to some people. I mean, come on, man. The dude makes $50 million a year, lives in a mansion in Miami, plays basketball, a game he's supposed to love, and makes a ton of money. Come on, man. I mean, that's just it's really it sets up. It's not surprising, but it's still frustrating and puts a bad light on professional athletes and professional sports because airs it out. His 7-game suspension is going to cost him $2.5 million, but he don't care. He'll probably write it off. And how funny is this though, Ricky? Didn't we talk a week or so ago? Pat Riley said we're not trading Jimmy Butler. He said that, right?
Yeah.
And what did I say?
He's gone.
I said, hey, as soon as Pat Riley said that, this is over. Come on, athletic directors do it. I support the head coach. He's fired. Players, we're not trading you. He's going to be traded. I told you that before all this happened, and now he's forced the hand. There's no way he could go back to Miami Heat and play, right? I mean,
Right.
And they've suspended him for actions and words detrimental to the team. So that's a direct hit on Pat Riley, Spoelstra, the coach, his teammates, pretty much everybody. And the fans of Miami should be outraged. I mean, it's...
And Paul, there's a gigantic mural of Jimmy Butler in Miami who have become a fan favorite with some of his playoff runs over the years. With Jimmy has his headband on, that hangs near the downtown area, and somebody went on there and wrote across his headband, "I quit." And he's ruined his legacy there.
Well, he's ruined his legacy in a lot of places. Chicago.
But here's my
Philly.
question. Minnesota. Yeah. But here's my question to you. Now, as a professional athlete, it is a business. So there's a business aspect of you. Where do you draw the line on, okay, I gotta fight for my standing here, and to the point you cross the line of that?
Let me ask you this. Answer me this. What's he fighting for?
I have no clue. I don't know what he's doing here.
Well, I mean, that's the point. If you're fighting for, more money, that's understandable somewhat. If you're fighting for, some principle, even though I don't agree with it, if you're fighting for, hey, I'm a starter in this league, always been a starter, now you put me on the bench, stuff like that. But he's not fighting for anything. What is he fighting for?
Right.
It can't be more money. I mean, here's crazy.
So
it can't be, Ricky. You know me, I do my homework, right? So I went over his career, right? He signed his rookie contract in Chicago, when he got drafted, and it was a 4-year, get this was in 2011. It was a 4-year, $5.2 million contract. That's what he signed. So look at the difference of what players made, 20 years ago. He was making $600,000 a year or whatever it was, 1 point whatever million. But then he signed a free agent contract after his rookie contract with the Bulls from 2015 to 2019. He signed a 5-year, $92 million deal. That's $18 million a year. I think we could live off that, Ricky. But I'm not done. Then in Philly, for a 4-year deal, he signed for $140.7 million. So that's $35 million a year. Not done yet. Then he signed in Miami a 3-year deal for $146 million. $48 million a year. So over his career, he's made $384.5 million. Just in basketball, not talking about his coffee and all that stuff. But come on, man. Really? I mean,
and then he says, "Well, I can't be happy playing in Miami."
Why?
I'm not,
he doesn't believe in Spoelstra again, or he doesn't trust Riley, or he hates his teammates. Be specific. Hey, hey, Jimmy. Hey, Mr. Buckets, I'm calling you out right now. Be specific. Why can't you play in Miami? Tell me. Go on ESPN and tell people why you can't play in Miami. What is it? Your teammates? Your playing time? Your coach? Your owner? Your president? Go on. If you're going to make this big stink, tell us why you can't play in Miami. It's a simple question.
Yeah. Now, with that said, I mean, he is still a upper level player in this league, even at 34, 35 years old. I guess he enhances any roster he goes to.
I don't know about that. Does he really? I mean, first of all, he's not the player he was 2 or 3 years ago. He's not that anymore. A couple of years ago, he carried Miami in the playoffs, won a series in Miami by himself, pretty much, to exhaustion. Credit to you for doing that. But he's not that player anymore. I mean, he's still a top 50 in the league. He's not a top 15 player in the league anymore. I could rattle off 15 guys better than him. That I could rattle off 25 guys better that are as good, and I want on my team more than him. And Ricky, we've said this for a long time. It's Coach Mo's thing. You have to accept your role. So no matter how good you are, if you can play in Miami and average, I don't know what he's averaging, 18, 21, whatever he's averaging, and 6.8, whatever he's averaging, okay? can you go to another team, a better team that you want to be on, and take a second or third seat to the guys that are already there? Can you do that? Can you go to Milwaukee? Because I've heard those rumors. Can you go to Milwaukee and take? You're not. Giannis is the team. Lillard's 1A, 1B, and can you do that and be B or C? I mean, we saw it years ago, Ricky. Remember this player, really good player? I think you remember him. His name is Allen Iverson. Remember him? And he had his problems, and he had problems with the coach and the players and the blah, 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 blah. And then, I'm a new man. I'll come off the bench. I'll be the sixth man and help the young players. That's what I'm going to do. And I think he went to Memphis, and after a month said, I'm out of here. I can't do this. We saw it. So is that what Jimmy Butler's going to do? Or is he going to go to your team and just tear it up and tear up the locker room and the practice and challenge guys that don't want to be challenged? Maybe they should, but you got to weigh all that. And it's not about points and rebounds and all that stuff and former wins, how you played in the past. It's not about that anymore. You got to if he's going to go to a good team, I mean, the Bucks have been rumored. I don't know, some other teams have been rumored, but you're going to have to accept your role as you're not the guy anymore. And I don't think he can do that.
I think, and welcome Woodage and all our friends here. Send us your questions and comments. He said Jimmy Butler played out of his mind in 2020, but he really puts up a number 2 option type numbers. Although he can have a number one mindset. And I think he described him just right that year. He got on a roll that year, but he had never really been that number one kind of guy.
No, I agree with Woodage 84. I mean, yeah, and now he thinks he's still that player, and he's not. Believe me, he's not. But can he accept it? That's the problem. And at some point, you talk about this, Ricky. You have to have an ego, and you have to believe you're good, and to be a NBA player, and let alone a star or superstar. But at some point, you got to be able to accept your role and play that role. And then, you know what? If he had his mind right and said, you know what, I'm going to be the fourth option or whatever, and I'm going to score 14, 18 a night. That's cool. But if one of the main guys goes down, I can score 35 on a night. I can still do that and help the team win while the other guy's getting healthy, because everybody's hurt in this league anyway. So there's probably going to be at least half of those games that I'm going to play with this team. I'm going to have to be that guy anyway. So that's okay. But you have to put that in your mind and be able to accept that. Yeah. And what I've seen, he can't do it. And I've seen it. I brought up Allen Iverson. There's more examples of that, of superstar players that have had to take a secondary, third role on a team, and they can't handle it. So
the one guy I've seen do that has been Chris Paul.
Yes. Yeah.
Chris Paul he's a pro.
Yeah. But there's not, how many of those are out there? There are not many. I mean,
And David, thank you for checking in. Besides having diminished skills, he's also too expensive.
Yeah, I mean, he's making $48 million this year. I think he's going to make $52 million next year. That's his contract. And do you want to pay that for a third or fourth option, or
no,
with the possibility of distracting the whole team? That's But you know what though? I want to backtrack on that. His contract is appealing to teams because he only has 1 year left after this year. Then he comes off then they come off his salary cap, and that team that has him, once he goes off, they have that money to spend on somebody else.
Yeah.
So
contract.
I agree that, paying him that much, but you only have to pay him that much for a year. And I bet you can make a trade with Miami right now, give them a couple secondary players and 27 second-round picks. Who cares? I don't care. And then make Miami pay for half his salary this year. And then, eat the contract for next year. And then if he works, you talk to him a little bit. But if it doesn't, he comes off your books. That's valuable to NBA general managers. Expiring contracts.
And what age 84? Remember, Butler likes to be Coach Hart, but he didn't like Tibbs. Talking about Tom Thibodeau.
Yep. Yeah, it's so easy for players to. I need to be pushed. I need to be held accountable. I need someone to really coach me hard. And then when it happens, wait a minute, time out. I didn't mean me.
Right.
I meant my teammates. You should do that for them, but not me.
Right. That's those are very good points. Butler allowed the Dame trade to break him instead of motivating him. But Damian Lillard has never had that issue of. I mean, he was just a soldier out there in Portland, just going to work every night until he decided, I'm ready to go after a while.
But his ego never took a hit, right? He's playing on a bad Portland team where he's always the man. He can take as many shots as he wants, anytime he wants, from wherever he wants, and that's his life. So you were never, he was never told, hey, stop shooting from half court or pass your teammate. You never told that. So there's
damn, that must be a good life. You're not winning, but
yeah, I mean, it depends on what you feel as a player. Some players, not many anymore, they want to win rings. Everybody, we talked about what players say, getting coached hard. Every player says he wants to be on a winning team and win a ring. But most of them won't do what it takes to get there. They won't make the sacrifice. That's when I was a coach, I asked my players all the time, what are you willing to do to help this team win? And that could be from playing better defense, rebounding better, being more of a leader. I had a point guard that was a really good kid and a good player, but he was quiet. He never said anything. I said, are you willing to speak up, get out of your comfort zone, and tell players what they need to hear to be a leader of this team? That would be your sacrifice, and he really wasn't willing to do that.
And Paul, nobody can get into Jimmy Butler's head but himself. But I'm just looking at you. I'm just kind of basing this on your experience now, because at the end of long careers, when your game is, when you're not the same player. You talked about the last couple of years of your NBA career as opposed to when you were a youngster in the NBA career. Do you think he could feel, damn, I can't do the things I used to do, and maybe that's impacting him? I mean, he can obviously still play, but not at the level he once played at.
Well, obviously my situation is different. I was just happy to be in the league when I first got in the league. I just want to make teams, and then I wanted more playing time. But, these guys that are superstars in the league making tons of money, it's their ego that gets in the way. And, retiring or, stepping down is a hard thing for those guys to do. Their egos are out of this room. They have to be. So to look at the film and have someone close to you say, hey, Ricky, you're just not what you used to be. You can still play, but you can't do the things you used to do. Your body's telling you that, but these players with their egos, they don't have the mindset to do that and say, you know what? I'm going to get on a winning team and I'm going to just, play, 20, 25 minutes a game maybe and pick my spots and help players get better. And guess what? If you would realize that, you would realize that you're not the focus of the defense anymore. Just ask Anthony Davis in Minnesota, who's tired of getting double teamed. If you go on a good team and accept that role, they won't be trapping you anymore. You'll get easier shots than you ever have in your career. But it's tough for these players with their egos to accept that.
Just hearing you talk, Mo, as I listen to that, because it makes so much sense what you're saying, I'm just sitting in the back of my mind just thinking about Chris Paul and how I am just gaining more respect for what he's doing now. I mean, clearly he doesn't need the money. He's doing it. He clearly loves to play basketball and compete.
Yeah, I mean, and he has a kind of a coaching mentality. He wants to help Wembanyama get better, and which he is, shoot. But, okay, Ricky, how many of those guys can you name in the league? Yeah, no. Yeah. So it's an anomaly for a player of his magnitude to be able to do that. I mean, the normal thing. I mean, can you name another player that could do that? I mean,
No.
You know, I see more guys wanting to have their own team and go to their own team and be their own, you know, all that stuff, you know. But you know, it sounds easy. And you know what? I mean, damn, man, if I'm making 20 million a year and I could play 3 more years and not have any pressure on me, you know, all the reporters are over on someone else's locker room when we lose, and you know, I'm still happy and winning and making a ton of money and playing a game I love. What's the problem? I don't understand it. And coming from me, who I played 12 years in the NBA, I think there's only 4,500 players that ever played in the NBA more than a year. I bet there's less than 2,000 that played more than 10 years. I'm one of those guys, but I was never the superstar. I was never the, you know, the guy everybody counted on. I was the guy that accepted my role. So I can't understand how, I don't care how good you are or were, that you can't accept that role, especially with the money you're making. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. I mean, just think, Ricky, if Jimmy Butler wanted to, he could get traded to the Lakers, to Milwaukee, to even Boston, wherever, and say, listen, guys, get me, make Miami pay some of my salary. And guess what? Next year, when you owe me $54 million, I'm going to spread that over a couple of years so we can get some more players and win some more rings and have more party parades. That's what I would do. But, you know, that's not my mentality.
So Paul, the professional athlete today has changed how much from the professional athlete of your day?
Well, first of all, we just talked about his salary, right?
Yeah, I know the money. We know the money.
Well,
but,
the money.
Yeah.
He was making $1 million, little more than $1 million a year. He's making $50 million now, Ricky. It's the money. And see what's here? What's this say right there? NIL plus transfer portal equals chaos. College players are making millions of dollars now. It's the money. And that messes with the mindset. It's not all the money, but it's 70% the money. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. D and Steve checking in. Mo, love that hat, Mo. Yeah, Kansas City. And you know, he's not the only pro athlete in, speaking of football. Jimmy Butler's not the only pro athlete that's not happy in Miami.
Let's talk about someone that used to wear a helmet with this logo on it.
I wonder what the Miami Chamber of Commerce is thinking now. All these guys want to leave town.
I thought everybody wanted to go play in Miami. What happened?
But that's what I'm talking about. The biggest difference is really the money, because Tyreek Hill is essentially doing the same thing as Jimmy Butler. At least he waited to the end of the season is about the only thing I can say. But 10 minutes after the game, he told his teammates, I'm out, man. I'm gone.
I can't play here, man. Why can't you play there? Tell me. Because you lost? You didn't make the playoffs? Tell me, just like Jimmy Butler needs to tell people, I can't play here anymore. Why? Tell me why. Make a specific point of why. The same with Tyreek Hill. Why can't you play in Miami anymore? Because you lost this year? Because your quarterback's not Patrick Mahomes? Because your coach isn't, Reed? Because you don't tell me why then. But I mean, Jimmy Butler has been a problem all his career. He's asked for trades. He's always come out in the public and made comments that should stay in the locker room. But Tyreek Hill is Jimmy Butler times 100 with the problem he had since he was in college. Tyreek Hill's been a problem wherever he's been. I know I was so mad when they didn't match the Dolphins' offer or get him that money so he would stay in Kansas City and win more championships. I was mad at him. But now when I look at his background and what he's done and what he's about, Kansas City Chiefs and their ownership and their management, and they are smart. They knew
They
what
know
they
they
were
do.
doing when they let him go. Oh, sorry, man, we're gonna miss you. Goodbye. And they were right.
Right. At what age? I think he hit it on the head. He regrets leaving the Chiefs. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think.
yeah.
I think the less and less it was his choice. So let's go. We went through Jimmy Butler. Let's go through Tyreek Hill's life. Here's a life of Tyreek Hill, right? So, in first of all, I think he has 7 kids with 5 different women. I think he's had 3 kids in 1 year. I mean, come on, man.
All right. They don't call him. They don't call him the cheater for nothing, man. He's fast. He gets around.
So in Oklahoma City in college, Oklahoma State, he was arrested for domestic violence in college, and they eventually dropped those charges. But he was arrested, and they had dropped those charges. That was 2019. Then he was arrested for child abuse in Kansas City. His son had a broken arm, and they arrested him, and took the child away from he and his wife for a little bit because he was arrested for child abuse. And then I think he just got off with probation on that. And then that was 2019. And then 2023, he was arrested for a charge of assault on some fishermen. They were fishing and they got in a fight, and he assaulted a fisherman or something. And I'm not saying whose fault this was or whatever, but and then this year he gets pulled over going to the game, and instead of saying, "Hey, officer, I'm going to the game. My name's Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry, write me a ticket," he makes a fuss, and then the police officer does what he shouldn't do and makes bigger fuss, and it's a whole blown out thing on ESPN and CNN, and but my point is, problems follow this dude. So there's a reason for this. And so let's talk about the money, right? You got to take care of my family and whatever. Okay. So we're talking about money that Jimmy Butler made, right? He signed a 4-year, $5.2 million deal back 20 plus years ago, which is crazy. Well, when Tyreek Hill came out and was drafted, which a lot of teams weren't going to draft him because of the Oklahoma State deal. They weren't going to draft him, but the Chiefs took a risk on him, and it paid off on the field. He signed a 4-year, $2.5 million deal. That's $645,000 a year. That's a lot for us, but not much for an athlete. But then the Chiefs liked what they saw. So in 2019 to 22, he signed a 3-year deal for $54 million. That's $18 million a year, Ricky. And then Miami went all out on him. And in 2022, they signed him to a 4-year deal of $120 million. That's $30 million a year. So you can't tell me you can't play in Miami because I got to take care of my family. Now, I'm not sure. He might have blown all his money, and it's been done before. But, when there's red flags throughout a professional athlete's career in college, in pros, and, whether it's his fault or not, but he's getting in altercations. Hell, he's getting arrested. Athletes, professional athletes, and professional teams pay professional athletes millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they have to be careful who they pay that millions and millions and millions of dollars to, because not only do they have to perform on the field or court, but they have to be okay people off the court, or they just bring, just unwanted publicity to your team and your organization. So,
And Mo, did you know yesterday that Coach McDaniel he kind of hinted around that he'll refuse to go back in the game yesterday.
Yeah,
The last game, you quitting on your teammates now, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you say I can't play in Miami, right? If you're Jimmy Butler or you're Tyreek Hill, I can't play in Miami. Why? Why? Is it the ownership, the money, or is it me? I'm your teammate. Is it me? Tell me. Crazy.
Yeah, And Mo, I know you have never begrudged the money pro athletes make because when you played, you fought for every dime you guys could get back in the day.
Yeah, there's a reason these guys are making. Let's just talk about Jimmy Butler in the NBA. There's a reason those guys are making that type of money because of Dr. J's and guys, and then Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, and then Kobe Bryant and Shaq, and all through. That's why the product is what it is, even though it's taken a downturn this year. But that's why you're making money. But my point is, to anybody out there that think pro athletes are overpaid, you're right. Yes, they are. Yes. So stop whining about that. They're overpaid. Everybody knows that. I mean, come on. So are TV stars. So are movie stars. They're overpaid. Yes. But you're only worth what someone will pay you. And I don't know anybody. You tell me, Ricky, you know a lot of good people. I don't know anybody that's working for any organization, whether it's a sports team or a company or a computer company, that they come to you and say, listen, Ricky, we're going to give you $1 million a year. And you go, no, wait a minute. I'm only worth 500,000. I don't want that money. Nobody, come on. So you're only worth what someone will pay you. But
Right.
My problem is when you get what you're worth and you sign a contract that you're happy with, stop whining about it. Stop whining about it. I love Karl Malone, and he's a great player, but every second year, Karl Malone, when he played, whined about his contract and always redid his contract. Because, in the sports business, the more years, we just talked about the numbers, how they went up. There's going to be, you sign a contract that's worth X amount of dollars in 2 years. Even though you're still a superstar, someone's going to make more than you, even though they're not as good. That's just the nature of the business. That's what happens. The best contract ever in sports ever was Patrick Ewing in New York. His agent signed him a contract in New York for whatever years, 5, 6, whatever. And his contract said, there's a clause in his contract that said, no matter what, I need to be a top 5 paid player in the league every year. Every year, when other players sign their contracts, if Patrick Ewing went below 5 to 6, 7, 8, they had to make up the difference and get him back to being a top 5 player. But nobody else has that contract. But if you sign a contract that you're happy with, stop whining about it, especially if you're making, $40 million a year. Are you kidding me?
Hey, Mo, this is a little bit off the current topic we're talking about, but you mentioned Karl Malone, and of course had a stellar career. But you always heard about Malone and Stockton. What made that duo so effective?
Well, they were great players, number one. Number two, they worked well together because they weren't the same position. And, John was a point guard and Karl was a power forward. And so they could work well together with each other. Number three, Coach Sloan, rest his soul, was Jerry Sloan was a great coach and realized I got these two guys. Most of their plays, 90% of their plays were run for those two guys, right? So he realized that and set up plays. It happened all the time. Hornacek bring the ball down. Stockton goes and picks across for Karl Malone, who goes into the post and post up. And then Stockton pops out to the top of the key. Either feed it to Karl Malone and he goes to work, or you swing it back to Stockton, and then Karl goes up and sets a pick and roll for Stockton, and then they play the two-man game. So it wasn't very hard to scout, but it was hard to stop. And then the last thing is all the other players. Mark Eaton to Greg Ostertag to Hornacek, Thurl Bailey. All these guys knew and accepted that their role was going to go off these other two guys. They're going to get all the shots. They're going to, okay, but we're going to fit in and help make them better and make the team better. So there's your reason why they were so successful, was all four of those reasons together. And,
but you knew the teams knew what was coming.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no question. So if I'm guarding Karl Malone and the ball's on the other side And I know Stockton's going to set a nasty pick on me because they let little guys do whatever they want. So he's going to set a pick, probably put an elbow in my gut or try and get my knee out. And then Karl Malone's going to push me because he's strong as hell and then go off the pick and get into the post. And there ain't nothing I can do about it no matter what I do. So, that's, because they were so good at it and the coach let him do it and the other teammates let him do it. There wasn't nobody there whining about, I didn't get enough shots. I didn't get the ball. Carl gets to shoot all the time. John gets the ball in his hands all the time. No one was doing that. But that's a long time ago.
Hey, Mo, you can help us out here. Would you watch a game? I'm sure you watch it. You look at we could be sitting at the TV together. I'm sure you're looking at an NBA game differently than me. When you watch a game, what is it you look for? And what would you share with us, people who don't have your experience to look for?
Well, I watch a game different than other people because my experience is different. I played the game, 4 years in high school, 4 years in college. That's 8, 12 years in the NBA. That's 20 plus a year overseas. So I played the game my whole life, and I've always been a thinker of the game. Then I went to Dallas. I coached in the minor leagues, but then I got to the Dallas Mavericks, and for 5 years, I wasn't just a coach. I was the advanced scout. So I would go watch all the other teams play, get their diagrams, just like you see up here on my board here, And so I see games as I can see plays. When I watch a game, I see plays. Oh, there's the horn set, the run, the twist, flare, blah, 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 blah. I see it happening. I could tell what's going to happen before it happens a lot of the time. So I see things differently. But when I watch a game that I really want to watch, I watch for players and teams that play hard, players and teams that play smart. They're not doing stupid stuff. They're not, throwing the ball away for no reason. They're not taking terrible shots. Just because I get in the lane, I could throw anything up, even though there's no chance I'm making it. And then I watch for ball movement and people movement. So if the ball's popping and moving and guys are moving and I can see that they're, setting some offenses up and getting some, that's makes me enjoy watching the game, which is doesn't happen very much anymore, Ricky. And I'm even talking about college now. I mean, college is turning into one-on-one and pick and roll and all that stuff, which is great, but have some substance. Like, let's talk about Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in the league. So guess what, Anthony? Other teams know this. Guess what, Anthony? Scouts like me write down the plays and tell coaches, hey, let's double team Anthony on this. Let's get the ball out of his hands. We did it all the time in Milwaukee. When we played Atlanta Hawks, we double teamed Dominique Wilkins all the time, get it out of his hands and deny him, don't let him get it back. We did that with a lot of players in Milwaukee. And that's what they're doing to Anthony Edwards now in Minnesota. And he's getting frustrated. I'm too young to just pass the ball. Well, figure it out how to get open and split double teams or get away from double teams or have a double team come and then pass it and then cut and get the ball back after the double team rotates. Now, Anthony Edwards is a young player. He might not realize that. There's some older players on the team that need to tell him. And Chris Finch is a really, really good friend of mine, but Chris needs to figure out some other ways that Anthony Edwards can't bring the ball down the floor. That's the easiest double team you could do. Dominique used to do that. Tracy McGrady did that. Dribble down the floor and trap him. And then he's got to pass it. And then you let somebody else make a play. So Chris needs to figure out, don't let him have the ball first and get trapped. Let him do some motion and get double picked and come up to the top and catch it and then be able to operate and then put players around him that if he does have to pass it, they can knock down shots, which they're not doing right now. Or someone like Julius Randle can make a play off the bounce of players closing out to him. But,
Mo,
that's not happening.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I just saw that play out the other night, a couple of nights ago. The Pistons played Minnesota in Detroit, and Anthony Edwards had 53 points, but they lost by 20. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
nope. They just stood around and watched him look for shots all night, and the Pistons ran all over him.
yeah, I mean, there's a balance between letting a guy like that shoot as much as you want. We did that one year when Steve Nash went to Phoenix and was MVP of the league that year, and I was still in Dallas, and we played him in the playoffs, and we eventually beat him. But we played one game. The first game we played, our idea was let Steve Nash shoot all the shots, so Sean Marion doesn't get shots. Some of those other guys don't get shots. So we did that. The problem with that is Steve Nash is one of the smartest players I've ever met, and he busted us for like 45, and he had enough passes and figured out how to get guys dunks and stuff. So we lost that game. So there's a balance.
Edwards didn't do that
because he's not smart like Steve Nash, and he's young and he's growing. But Steve Nash, figured it out, and
Hey, and you talk about coaching all the time and the art of it. And first of all, Steve says, "Happy birthday, Mo!" And from everybody tune in tonight, happy birthday, Mo! Hope you had a great one over the weekend. And this is Steve asked this: are the Pistons almost as good as the Bucks? I can answer that one. No, but Mo, they are greatly improved. And the only real difference is Monty Williams is not coaching them this year, and J.B. Bickerstaff is coaching them. And I think they're 18-18 now, and only won 14 games all last year. Coaching matters.
Yeah, I mean, they're 17-18. They're in the 10th spot. So they've moved up all of, 4 spots or something. But, they're competitive. Maybe they can make a run for a play-in or something. But you know what? It happened in Sacramento. They fired a great coach in Mike Brown, and now they're 4-1 under Doug Christie. But that happens a lot. You fire a coach, and all the players are rejuvenated, and they think we got a shot at playing time, and everything's changing. So that happiness goes for a while, but then reality sets in. But sometimes coaches lose the locker room. Players get tired of listening to them. Players have tuned them out. I told you the number one thing as a coach in the NBA, what do I always say, Ricky? They have to let you coach them. And if they don't let you coach them, you have no chance. You're going to be fired, and you're not going to be successful. By that, I mean, they have to let you not only coach them hard, like we talked about earlier in the show, but listen and do the defensive strategy and buy into it and play hard and, do what the coach is telling you and share the ball or do whatever and execute the plays, blah, blah, blah. But if they tune you out, and they just do it half-ass on the floor, or they just don't want to do it at all, which happens too, you got no chance. And the players are buying into the new coach in Detroit, and we'll see where that leads. But, I don't think the sunshine is shining that much brighter in Detroit. They won 14 games this year. They're at 17 last year. They're at 17 this year. They're in a better situation. I bet everybody feels better in the locker room. But we'll see in the long run of the season, are they going to be in the play-in when it really counts? So
I doubt it. I doubt that because they lost Ivy for the season the other night. Had a terrible injury, and Paul, he was a guy that Monty Williams didn't like to play, and he was playing very well for Bickerstaff, and he's out for the year. He broke his leg the other night. Had that.
I saw that. That was nasty.
Had that terrible injury, so he will be missed. 32 games. If they got to 30, I'd be happy, Steve. That's twice as many as the year before.
They're on their. I mean, Steve, they're on their way. I mean, the tough thing about injuries. The two of the biggest disappointment teams so far, besides the Milwaukee Bucks, are Philadelphia and Minnesota. But here, I'm going to predict this now. Write this down. Dallas Mavericks, who I picked as a surprise long shot for the NBA Finals and winning it all. They're 20-12. They're in the 4th spot right now in the West. However, Luka has been out for a couple weeks and going to be out for a couple more at least. And now Kyrie Irving has a bulging disc in his back. So he's going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks. So, Dallas could drop, to the 8th, 9th, or 10th spot here in the next 3 weeks before the All-Star break. So something to watch in Dallas. But injuries are just they're brutal this year for a lot of teams.
Paul, Oklahoma City has won 15 straight games. And they're playing without one of their better players, Chet Holmgren. Seems like they've been better without Holmgren in the lineup.
Because Hartenstein got healthy, so they have a big body. If you watch Hartenstein last night, he had a big block at the end and then had a finished lob dunk at the end. So he's a guy that accepts his role and plays it really, really well. I saw OKC play here in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. And, they have a lot of talent. They didn't play very well here. Maybe that was a wake-up call for them. But they're legit. And adding Hartenstein and, the other guy they added, the veteran, the wing player.
I'll check. I'll check it out.
Yeah. So they added those 2 veteran players that have really added to them and absorbed Holmgren being out, and I think it's going to be.
You talking about Caruso?
Yeah, Caruso, Alex Caruso, who fits in great with them. So they add those 2 pieces, and then even though Holmgren went out, Hartenstein fills right in that spot because when Hartenstein was hurt and Holmgren was hurt, they were playing 6'6" and under. That's how tall their center was, and then you can't be successful doing that in the NBA. So, and now when Holmgren can come back, he's going to play the 4. And they're going to have legitimate big-time starting 5 that can compete with any team. I mean, they're 30-5. Cavs are 34-4. I mean, both those teams are really shining right now. But the season is long. It's not even All-Star break yet. There's going to be some trades made, and more importantly, there's going to be probably some injuries. I don't hope for them. I appreciate all the happy birthday wishes. I'm 68 years old now. I'm old as crap and my body is falling apart, but I'm still here. But, as the season goes on in the NBA, some of those injuries kind of start piling up. So some of these teams that are on rolls right now might not be able to sustain that. We'll see.
And let me just welcome everybody in. Well, we got a full house in here tonight. You're watching.
Hey, everybody.
We Got Next. I'm Ricky Hampton with Paul Mokeski, former Milwaukee Bucks center, 12-year veteran of the NBA, more than 25 years in professional basketball, coaching all over the world, NBA scout. Mo, just an extensive background. We would take up the rest of the time if I tried to explain to everybody.
Sorry, Ricky. I have over 40 years in professional basketball.
40.
As a
I
player.
forgot you just said you're an old man. My bad.
I am, man. I've been at every level. I've been, I've coached in college at USC in Stony Brook. I coached in the G League. I coached in some other minor leagues. I coached European teams. And I coached the Jamaican national team. I was coaching the Great Britain team with Chris Finch in the Olympics in 2012. So I've seen a lot, and I'm here to share it. We love newcomers. We love all the old people that are staying with us and share the knowledge. And please subscribe to our channel. I love talking basketball. Love getting questions. I'm pretty much no nonsense guy, so I'll answer any questions and pretty much tell you the real deal of what goes on in NBA rooms and locker rooms and, up to a point. But thanks everybody for joining.
And to our viewers, he's not nearly as mean as he was on the court. He's just a big old teddy bear off the court. Hey, Mo, Steve says Holmgren has gained 3 pounds as he tries.
And we talked about this before, but I was in Dallas with the Mavericks when Sean Bradley was the center at 7'5", and he was always really skinny. I think not as skinny as Holmgren. Holmgren, if you guys want, Holmgren looks like I was in high school. I was 7 foot and 200 pounds, but Holmgren's playing in the NBA. That's scary to me. But Sean Bradley was the same way, very skilled too. And we tried to put weight on him one summer, and we got 25 pounds of muscle on him, but he wasn't as effective. So, Holmgren can gain strength, but he's never going to be much bigger than he is. And he's going to have to deal with, playing how he does. And he's a very effective player. So, 3 pounds, Steve, 3 pounds on, losing or gaining 3 pounds on someone like me or Chet Holmgren is like adding or throwing off a deck chair on a cruise ship.
On the Titanic. Like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic.
That's right.
Hey, Mo, guess what? There was a Kawhi Irving Leonard sighting the other night, and Zion Williamson could be back in a week or so.
Yeah, I mean, Kawhi's been injured off and on. Hopefully he'll be healthy enough and accept a role with that Clippers team, because I think, where are they? They're in the 6th spot right now, tied with the Lakers. So, they can make a little run here if Kawhi is sort of healthy. Zion, however, is a different story. I've lost confidence in him. I've lost confidence in, what he can be in the NBA. And, a few years ago, I thought with his body type, the way he plays, explosiveness, he could be like a Charles Barkley type unicorn, undersized, big with power. But I don't think he has the IQ or the want to do it as much as Charles, for sure. But I just don't believe that he's going to. Remember what I just said 30 minutes ago? What will you do? What are you willing to do to help the team win? Well, Zion, what are you willing to do to get in great shape and become a great player? That's my question.
Yeah. And Mo, think about it. They are 7-29. 7-29. New Orleans.
Yeah, if I'm New Orleans, can I get anything for Zion? Does anybody still want him? I don't think there's many teams that even want him anymore. How sad is that for the phenomenal player that was coming in about 3 or 4 years ago? He's the next face of the league and all this stuff, and it just fizzled out. Still injuries. He had injuries in college. That doesn't change either. It's a red flag. And I would like Anthony Edwards is supposed to be the next face of the NBA. Stop whining about getting double teamed and not getting you passing too much, and learn how to play the game, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Mo, we only got a few more minutes left here. We were talking about we start to get into the new All-Star game format, and you have a great idea for what the All-Star game should be. Now, just to get people up to date, if you don't already know, the game is going to be broken down. There are going to be 3 teams, 3 sets of All-Star teams, and they will play elimination games.
There's going to be 4 total teams.
Yeah, it's going to be 4, and one of the teams will be the
young stars or something like that.
The up and comers or whatever.
Yeah, the first and second year players.
Yeah, and they had to do something. That used to be a great game, but it's just gotten utterly ridiculous. And Paul, you talk about the influence of money. There it is again in the demise of the All-Star game.
Well, I think they've tried everything. We used to play the All-Star game. There's pride between the East and the West. The East is better. No, the West is better. And they kind of hashed it out, not only in the NBA Finals, but they hashed it out during the All-Star game, and players played hard. They didn't play like super hard, but they played hard. Then that just diminished, and they've tried everything. They tried playing 4 quarters, and millions of dollars goes to charities. That didn't work. They tried all kinds of things, and it's up to the players to have enough pride and play hard and some kind of defense. But I don't think that's going to happen. Those times are gone. So my idea is, they're trying to do it with, 4 teams. My first idea was let's break them up into 3-on-3 teams and play a round robin 3-on-3 tournament. And there are 2 games going on at each half court at the same time. That would be interesting to me. And then there would be some pride involved because there's only 3 guys on the team. But I think the more and the better thing they should do, and I put this out here for years, but no one will listen to me. I think they're afraid. I think Adam Silver and the NBA is a little bit afraid. They need to play the World All-Stars against the American All-Stars, United States All-Stars. That would be a great game. I think the World All-Stars would win. But what would happen is the players from around, the international players will play hard. They always do. And they have pride, and they will play really hard, which will in turn make the American players play hard too, because they don't want to get embarrassed. Now both teams will play hard. What a concept. That's what they should do. World against America. When you look at what the players could be on both those teams, the world team is loaded, especially at the big position. And you got Shea Alexander, and you got Murray, and you got a bunch of, all these players. And then
the Joker.
Giannis and, more. But I think it would be a really good game, an interesting game. And you would actually have people interested to learn who is going to win that game.
Yeah. A couple of more minutes to go, Mo. Any final thoughts, anything you want to touch on before we get off here?
Well, a thing we've talked about before in the past, Ricky, that Rick Pitino with St. John's brought up over the weekend about the handshake line at the end of games, and he's not doing it anymore. He's doing it like the NBA. And the NBA, when the game's over, all the coaching staffs just kind of wave to each other as they go their separate ways. And players can get together and hug and talk or whatever. That's fine. But there's no organized handshake line. I've seen in college when I was at USC, I've seen a brawl at the handshake line when we played Arizona State at Arizona State. We had a brawl that game, and I had to pull players off each other. I've seen brawls in Canadian basketball in that league, the pro league. You've seen them in college, not so much in the NBA. You've seen them in football. But the handshake line, everybody says, it's about being a gentleman and classy or gentle lady or whatever, and shake hands of your opponent. And that's all well and good, but it really doesn't mean anything because none of those people are thinking that. All the players just got beat are saying, screw this. I don't want to shake their hands. They just beat us. The players that won are going, hey, we kicked your butt. Here we are. You're going to shake your hand. And obviously, coaches hate it. Just look at the football games. In the NBA, you'll get coaches that know each other and friends, and they'll actually shake hands and embrace or whatever, and in college. But for the most part, it's a walk-by, wishy-washy, BS handshake. I don't even want to look in your eyes handshake. So what's the point of sportsmanship if it's going to be like that? And you have possibilities of some bad things happen. So let's get rid of the handshake line. You could do it in hockey. In hockey, they do it, and it's whatever, but that's about all. You don't see it in football. You don't see it in baseball, so get over it.
Hey, Mo, one more question before we go. We got about 45 seconds. Why is LeBron never fined for flopping? You think he's a flopper?
Yeah,
he's LeBron. He's not going to get a lot of calls not going against him, right?
Yeah, but he always whines about him. I mean, Steve, in today's game, players can argue, yell at the refs, make motions, and they don't tee them up now, where they used to get kicked out. Now, flopping, remember a couple of years ago? Flopping was supposed to be a technical foul. Remember that? We're going to stop flopping. We're not going to be a technical foul, but they never followed through with that. And, of course, like you said, Ricky, he's LeBron James. You're a ref, especially a young ref, and you're going to call flop on LeBron James, who's 40 years old. Hey, Steve, maybe he's falling down because he's old and he can't stand up. That happens to me sometimes.
Hey, Mo, and we got to get out of here. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And we'll be back at our regular time next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday night. Hey, but Mo, And I'm going to ask you this question next week. I'm going to give you a week to think about it.
Uh-oh.
If you could be commissioner of the NBA for one day, what are some of the things you would like to do to enhance the National Basketball Association?
How many choices do I have? Are you gonna limit it to me to maybe 10? Let's do 10.
Okay.
10.
All right.
Do
All right.
10.
Well, Mo, again, happy birthday to you. Safe
Thanks,
travels to Linda. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. For Paul Mokeski, I'm Ricky Hampton. Peace, everybody. See you next week.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.